So thank you so much, everyone, for coming today, and I want to thank Chairman Miller for lending us his committee room, and I will turn it over to you because I know you have limited time, and then we will get to the ceremony, so come on over.
Thank you very much, and it is an honor to be here. I'm about to catch an airplane to head back. I'm from the Panhandle of Florida, the 1st Congressional District, a lot of military in that part of the world, a lot of Navy, a lot of Air Force, and a lot of Army as well. So let me say thank you for being here. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to meet a bunch of little Jebos, and it's a pleasure, and I hope you enjoy your time while you're up here. But let me just say that by meeting here today and presenting this Silver Star, it's a recognition of something very special. I mean, it is one of our highest military honors, as you already know. There aren't a whole lot of individuals that merit this particular award. As we look at our, especially World War II era folks, we are losing them at a very, very fast rate. My dad was a World War II Navy veteran. He passed away 3 years ago. But we continue to try to recognize their service to this nation. I was actually in England 2 weeks ago and was amazed when I started looking at the RAF airfields that were there and the number of American men and women that were on these installations fighting for a cause that was well worth fighting for, protecting the freedom of this country, but the world as well. And so we say thank you to a very special lieutenant who served admirably as a member of the armed services, so admirably that this Silver Star is a recognition. And while it is something that many people put on their uniform, we won't be able to do that, but the memory of Lieutenant Jebo will stay with you for a long time, and especially for the young people here. This is very important. When you look at the men and the women that answered the call during World War II, there were a lot of people that left this country and went to faraway places around the globe to defend the United States of America, and it's because of people like that that we can stand here today in this great republic that we live in, the United States of America. And I can't thank Congresswoman Stefanik for asking me to participate in a small way in this very special occasion. And let me say again, thank you for those of you that wear the uniform today, those of you that have worn the uniform, and maybe even some of you that may wear the uniform in the future. You're very special, and we salute you. And with that, I say, God bless the United States of America.
Thank you so much, Chairman Miller. It goes without saying that we are so thankful for your years of service, and particularly in your capacity as chairman of the Veterans Affairs Committee and as one of my colleagues on the House Armed Services Committee. You will be very much missed. Chairman Miller is retiring this year, but as evidenced by his remarks today, he's truly committed to the military families and veterans across this country. So thank you again for making time. And thank you to all of you for being here on this important occasion as we honor the life and legacy of a true North Country hero, First Lieutenant Elmer Jebo. And specifically, I want to thank Lieutenant Jebo's sons, Donald, Jerry, and Stephen, for bringing us here today, and his 4 grandchildren and great-grandchildren for being here as well. I'd also like to thank Donald and Jerry for their brave and distinguished military service. I'm so pleased that Stephen reached out to our office so that we could help retrieve this important medal, and we are proud to host this ceremony for you all on Capitol Hill. One of the most important and significant jobs of a member of Congress is representing the veterans in their district, and I'm proud to represent the district with the most veterans of any in New York State. And I'm humbled today to present the Silver Star to the family of this American hero. It is truly a rare and unique honor. Our nation owes a debt of gratitude to anyone and everyone who has served and sacrificed on behalf of our nation, and Lieutenant Elmer Jebo certainly did both. He was drafted into the Army in 1940 following the attack on Pearl Harbor. And before he shipped overseas, he married a native of Saratoga Springs, New York, Phyllis Edna Wright. As a first lieutenant and a unit commander, he fought in campaigns across Italy. For exemplary conduct in action against the enemy, he was awarded a Bronze Star in 1943 for his service with the 180th Infantry Regiment. And in February of 1944, Lieutenant Jebo took part in the Anzio invasion, one of the most important battles in the Italian campaign against the German forces. Under attack from 6 enemy tanks, Lieutenant Jebo and his company established a post from which he began returning artillery fire. When one enemy tank penetrated their position, Lieutenant Jebo courageously called for fire directly in front of his position and successfully repelled the attack. For his bravery under siege and his courageous conduct to repel these attacks, he was awarded the Silver Star and the Purple Heart by the United States Army. Unfortunately, because of significant wounds sustained in combat in May of that year, Lieutenant Jebo spent 9 months recovering at Walter Reed Medical Center and never received this Silver Star medal. He has since passed along with his wife, Phyllis. That's why when his son, Stephen, contacted my office, I was so excited and ready to help. And I am so proud to be joined by the entire Jebo family, including 4 grandchildren and the great-grandchildren that I mentioned at the beginning. I would also like to recognize and thank again Veterans Affairs Committee Chairman Jeff Miller for being here today and speaking to the importance of what our veterans do. And I want to thank Renee McFarlane from our Plattsburgh office and Captain Adam Sperry, our military fellow, for their work in bringing us here today. I'm truly honored that my office was able to play a small part in preserving the legacy of your family member, Lieutenant Elmer Jebo. And with that, we will present the Silver Star to Lieutenant Elmer Jebo's family. So I would ask Stephen to bring up other family members for the presentation. And the citation will be read by Captain Adam Sperry.
Attention orders. This is a certified that the President of the United States of America, authorized by Act of Congress, July 9, 1918, has awarded the Silver Star to First Lieutenant Elmer H. Jebo, Lima Company, 3rd Battalion, 188th Infantry Regiment, for gallantry in action on 21 February 1944 day. Given under my hand in the city of Washington this 6th day of January 2016. Signed, Eric A. Fanning, Acting Secretary of the Army.
Thank you very much.
Chairman Miller, unfortunately he's left, for stopping by and saying those kind words. And the guests from the Veterans Administration, or Veterans Organizations that my father was very active in. And also especially for Congresswoman Stefanik and her staff. I mean, when I wrote the letter back in December, I knew they would reach out and help us, but I never expected this. First, Monday, she honors my father on the congressional floor, and then they provided a really nice tour of the Capitol, staff-led, and then finally this ceremony, which is more than we could ever expect. Thank you very much. Let me say a few words about my father. I guess I would have to say, if I could sum him up in one sentence, it would be, if they were looking for someone to be on a poster that represented the great generation, they wouldn't have to look any farther than my father. He was born in 1914 in Conifer Falls to a working class couple, Fred and Carrie Jebo. He was a lumberman, and I understand you have roots in that, up in the northern country, and he wife stayed and raised both him, Elmer, and his sister Hazel. He went through high school at Tupper Lake, excelled in sports, received a scholarship from Syracuse University for football, and an invitation from the then Boston, now Washington Redskins to try out for the football team. He turned that down, but he did take the Syracuse scholarship. But back then, it's not like scholarships today. It was just for tuition. So he had to take a year off to save up for his room and board, and then he worked his 4 years in the cafeteria in the kitchen. So he basically put himself through college during the Great Depression. That was the kind of individual he was. After college, he was teaching in Adams Center, which is right outside of Watertown, and he always used to say that was what he really enjoyed doing of all the jobs he ever had. And he may have stayed with it until he got drafted. So the only thing he ever wanted was being in the first call up from New York State. But it worked out for the best. And he did go after OCS. He was assigned to the 180th, and he was deployed to Italy under Patton's army in, I think it was June of 1943. He won a Bronze Star, he won a Silver Star, and he did get injured. He lost part of his leg because of a landmine. But he never looked down on that. He always drew strength from character. After getting out of the VA, he took advantage of the VA bills to work for the federal government, started out in the Labor Department, worked his way up to a GS-15 with the Manpower Administration. And he was very big in, well, 1960s, people think of free love and the civil rights movement was also very big in the labor. That's when labor unions became very active, and there was a lot of strikes, the Teamsters and so forth, and he was very instrumental in a lot of those labor union settlements, like the one between the United Farm Workers out in California over lettuce with the Teamsters. He was able to help negotiate a settlement without the violence that the Teamsters were kind of known for. When he retired, he was also very active in the DAV and the Purple Heart, and he was also on several presidential committees for Veterans Affairs, serving under Nixon, I think, and Eisenhower, a couple other presidents. But he always left me with traits that were things I hope every one of the Jebos have learned, such as work ethics, that you always do the best job you can, no matter what you're paid. The family was always first. He took care of his mother. When my grandfather died, he built a house for his mother, and he sent her money every month so she had something to live off of. And he took care of all of us. He always was big in families. But there are two traits I think I was left with a big impression. One was education. Both he and his wife Phyllis were educated at Syracuse University, but he made sure that all three of his sons got college educations. He made sure pretty much all his grandkids got college education. And between 3 sons and 6 grandkids, I think until I was trying to come up with my head, they've earned 21 graduate and undergraduate degrees, including 2 PhDs, a couple of law degrees, I don't know how many different master's program. And the other was public service. He was in public service his whole career, starting as a school teacher all the way through retiring as a federal employee. Both Don and Jerry were in the military or armed forces. I guess Coast Guard was considered armed forces then, and served in Vietnam honorably. I've worked for the Department of Defense for 30 years and retired, and then did consulting work, continued on with that. 2 of our grandkids, Jerry's daughter Jen and Julie, who left, is work for the federal government now, and Aaron actually is a school teacher, which is another public service. I don't think they get the recognition they really deserve. But I'd like to just wrap this up by saying this medal, for those who really knew my father, isn't what is important. It's for the people that, like the grandkids who didn't get to know him, that is character that will help them develop into the type of person that Jebo is. And I'd like to thank you all again for coming. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Stephen, for those kind remarks. And if you want to come up here to take a look at the Silver Star, I also flew a flag over the Capitol for your family to take, as well as the text recognition.